It's the tale of two reports. Let's take a minute and break them down for you. Today, we received the Home Price Index report from FHFA and from Case-Shiller that measures home appreciation, home sales price in America on a month-over-month basis and a year-over-year basis. This data on this report is from November 2022. I'm going to share these charts with you, but before I do that, I want to take a quick second and explain that closings that happened in November of 2022 are likely home buyers that went under contract on a property in either September or October 2022, which was really the peak of the interest rate environment. So seeing numbers where we had a decline in pricing in November isn't necessarily a big scare, because that's something we would expect in a market where sellers may be interested in getting their home sold before interest rates rise any further. I'm going to pull these charts up here, take a second and walk you through some of the highlights on here. First and foremost, I want to go through the FHFA chart. The FHFA chart, this is measuring homes in America that sold with a conforming loan amount, meaning they got a mortgage of $726,000 or less on that property. What we're looking at in the month of November is the prices dropped 0.1%, a very, very small drop. Keep in mind, this is after 121 months of consecutive price increases on a month-over-month basis. We are now seeing 5 consecutive months of price declines. On a year-over-year basis, we're still showing an 8.2% increase in home values, which is unbelievably incredible and shows a very, very strong market still ahead of us. If you break this down by region, the South Atlantic region, which is where the majority of my clients are, the majority of the people watching this video are, we had a flat month over month, and annualized, we have the best section of the country for continued appreciation in housing. Now let's look at the Case-Shiller report. The Case-Shiller report, this measures all transactions that closed, and we expect to see a difference between these reports. I'll explain why. The Case-Shiller report is going to count cash transactions into it. It's going to count every transaction, jumbo, super jumbo, everything. What we saw in the month of November was a 0.6% month-over-month decrease in sales price, annualized out to a 7.7% increase in overall home prices on a year-over-year basis, November to November. Now, what's really important to understand between these two charts is this is not going to count in any cash transactions in the FHFA chart. Well, this does count in cash transactions. So it's not a big surprise that we would see a 0.5% difference in the variability of these reports. Two things. Number one, higher the transaction price, they typically are going to decrease their prices faster. So your jumbo transactions, your $1 million, $3 million, $5 million, $7 million transactions, those markets do typically get hit harder than the $200,000 to $500,000 price point range when we're talking about pricing declines. Second, when someone's buying cash, if you're a seller, oftentimes a seller will take a lower cash offer over a financed offer. And so there isn't necessarily a big surprise that we would see a variability between this. Now, one thing I do want to talk about that's super, super interesting to me is a lot of people have been screaming for a very, very long time that this is the beginning of the housing crash. It's the crash. It's the crash. Interesting numbers also included in these reports. The FHFA chart, now that's the one with conforming loan amounts on it, shows from the peak of home prices, where they peaked out, to where they are today, we're only down 1.2%. The Case-Shiller report, that's going to include all transactions, cash, everything, shows that home prices have decreased 3.6% from their all-time highs. Hardly a crash of what people were saying is going to happen, much more like a nominal correction. And as interest rates continue to come down, and we do expect in beginning of quarter two, end of quarter one, to see a decrease further in interest rates, we can expect to see home buyers come back to the market. When that happens, supply and demand come into play. We know the inventory shortage we still have in this country, even though it doesn't feel like it right now, still there. And when buyers come back out of the woodwork, you can expect home values to flatten out very, very fast, if not begin appreciating again. So I appreciate your time today. If you guys have questions on this particular setup, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Mega thank you to the team over at MBS Highway, Barry, Dan Habib, Megan Anderson, Diana, everyone. You guys continue to put out amazing content every single day for me to digest and continue to put it out to my real estate partners, to clients, to everyone in my network. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you again for taking the time with me today, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.